What is good, YouTube? It's your boy The Lost Vax, and today I got another video for y'all, man. Today we got making the case for the 1996 Bulls, as I'm guessing probably the best team of all time. So we're gonna listen to Clayton. You're gonna listen to his point of view on the 96 Bulls and why they might be the greatest team of all time. But before we start the video, if you haven't done so already, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to hit that post notification bell every time I drop a new video. Follow my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok links. All of them are down below, man, in the description box, man. And I'm going to have this video also in the description box down below. So, let's get right to it.
What's the goal of basketball? To win, right? But not just to win individual games. The ultimate goal is to win a championship. Of course, basketball is a team sport. Championships are won by the most complete, most inspired team. Every champion deserves credit, but the question on my mind is, who's the greatest team of all time? With apologies to Bill and Wilt, I have a list of 8 teams since 1970 that I want to look at as having a claim to that distinction. It is a loaded question, and one that I ultimately can't answer. Is it the teams that were front runners from beginning to end? The ones who were unbeatable at their peak? Maybe the ones who tapped into something special and overcame countless obstacles? There is no right answer. It's your job to make your own call. And it's my job to make the case. So today, I'll be making the case for the 1996 Chicago Bulls as the greatest basketball team of all time.
All right.
Why this Bulls team? Weirdly, that's a question I anticipate people asking. Between the 1990-91 season and the 97-98 season, the Chicago Bulls won 6 championships behind the efforts of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and head coach Phil Jackson. Each was punctuated with immortal, memorable scenes. A crying Jordan holding his first trophy, a shrug, a flu, and more than one iconic series icing shot. Why this team and not another? People who fancied themselves basketball snobs occasionally sort out those who submit the 96 Bulls into this discussion. No way, they say. The 91 and 92 Bulls were way better. Michael and Scottie were younger, the league was more competitive, and they had way more depth on the front line. Yeah, the 96 Bulls record is impressive, but the league had expanded. New teams had diluted the talent pool and created a vacuum. For you to say that the 96 Bulls are the best just goes to show that you don't really know what you're talking about.
Didn't they go 72 and 10? Right? They did go 70. They did go 72 and 10. Yeah, right? Yeah, they did. Yeah, that was that year. They won 72 games.
Some valid points. Michael and Scottie were younger. The league was more competitive. And those teams did not suffer from the same dearth of talent in their big men that the 96 squad did. So, here's the facts. They went 72 and 10.
Yeah.
The best record to that point in NBA history, and the first team to win over 70 games. They're 87-13.
Now let's see. Okay, so that year, I think it can come off the screen. Let's take a bigger look at this. So their offensive rating first in the league, defensive rating first. Okay, points per game first. Okay, offensive. Okay, so they had a good defense, good offense, great defense, great offense. Really, net rating first. So they're basically top 3 in really every category. I mean, in these major categories, they were top 3. So yeah, they were definitely a great. Based off these, yeah, they're a great team. They were good. Well, I can't really talk right now. They're well balanced and on both sides of the ball, as you can see on the screen.
Record is the highest winning percentage of any team ever. They paced the field in nearly every important statistic and still have the highest net rating for a single season ever.
For real, dang.
Their roster consisted of Hall of Famers Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. Tony Kukoc came off the bench as one of the best sixth men of all time. Ron Harper was a defensive specialist at point guard. Steve Kerr and Judd Buechler provided offense off the bench, while Luke Longley and Bill Wennington manned the middle. Why not use a different Bulls team? Because by nearly every metric that we use to measure teams, this team is not only clearly the best Chicago Bulls team ever, it is the greatest NBA team ever. They won more games than any other champion has ever won. That alone should count for something. The entire goal of the sport is to win games and win the championship. And the Bulls did it better than anyone. Their resume is immaculate. 72-10 and the chip, yeah. But Michael Jordan was the league MVP and leading scorer. Dennis Rodman won the rebounding title. Phil Jackson won Coach of the Year. Jerry Krause won Executive of the Year. Tony Kukoc won Sixth Man of the Year. Mike, Scotty, and Dennis made First Team All-Defense. Michael and Scotty were both named to First Team All-NBA. No matter where you look on this team, all you find are the hallmarks of excellence.
Yeah.
Where else do you start?
Listen, they were stamped everywhere. Everywhere you look, they were stamped.
Michael Jordan. Sure, he was younger in 91 and 92. You can make the argument that he was a better individual talent then. But give me this Michael over the rest. After a nearly 2-year hiatus to pursue a dream of professional baseball, Jordan returned as a more mature, more evolved player. He doesn't fly quite as high as he used to.
That's crazy. If Michael Jordan didn't retire, he would have won 8 rings. That's crazy.
But he doesn't need
But you never know. But
He's smarter than he's ever
they
been.
probably would have won 8 rings,
Picks
bro.
his
That's
spots
crazy.
and knows exactly how to get there. He's still the most lethal scorer in the league, still the nightmarish amalgamation of quickness, strength, touch, speed, shooting, and know-how. His drives to the basket still draw the breath of every spectator across the globe. He trusts his teammates, kicking them the ball when they get open or as he gets doubled. He still has the abilities to wreak havoc on the defensive end and does so with zeal. He doesn't take nights off and he doesn't get tired. He led the league in minutes and played in all of Chicago's 100 games that season. As I have said before, a basketball in Michael Jordan's hand is the defining image of the sport. It feels like they were made for each other and that we should celebrate the fact that they were able to intersect. He was the best offensive player in the game, able to score seemingly at will from everywhere on the court, and developed into a capable and willing passer, defended at one of the highest levels in the league, and, dare I say it, took nearly every matchup personally. Right alongside him, as he was for every championship campaign in Bulls history, was Scottie Pippen. Often cited as the greatest sidekick in basketball and perhaps all of sports, the moniker should carry no insult when applied to Pippen. The 6'7" forward with the 7'3" wingspan from Central Arkansas made it all work and goes down as arguably the most complete basketball player of the 1990s. He filled in the blanks, as Chuck Daly once said, with passing, scoring, ball handling, defense, confidence, and leadership. Whatever the team needed, Scottie provided. To his own individual credit, during Jordan's first year playing baseball, Pippen finished 3rd in MVP voting, and the Bulls were competing as legitimate championship contenders. The following season, again without Jordan, Pippen led the Bulls in every major statistical category. By 96, Pippen had settled comfortably into an average of 20 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds a night.
yeah, some people forget too. You know, and Clayton just said it. When Jordan retired for those 2 years, the Bulls weren't. I mean, everybody knows the Bulls were trash. I mean, they were still. How would I say? I mean, obviously they didn't win the championship, but they were definitely championship contenders. Definitely, especially in the East. I don't know what the East was like back then, but I'm pretty sure they were in championship form. You know what I'm saying? You still had Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen, and still some of the other players from those Bulls teams. So, yeah, man, just like adding Michael Jordan to it is obviously gonna make you it's gonna put you over the top. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, that was real interesting. So, and I think we seen it from The Last Dance too. If y'all watched it from last year.
Did I forget to mention that Pippen might well be the best perimeter defender in NBA history? Shoot. Well, Scottie Pippen might well be the best perimeter defender in NBA history. It was Pippen who was often given the responsibility of guarding the opposing team's best scorer, a fate similar to being sentenced to Alcatraz. Scottie was made to play defense and did it with every inch and ounce of his body. On that end of the floor, he was nearly as destructive as Jordan was on offense. Yes, it's true that Scottie succeeded next to Jordan, but it's just as true that Jordan only succeeded next to Pippen. They formed a perfect partnership, different in so many complementary ways. Where Michael's intense competitiveness led him to berate and criticize his teammates in order to get the most out of them, it is universally said that Pippen's presence was just as necessary, the yin to Jordan's yang, with his amicable demeanor and willingness to put his arm around teammates. It was his contributions and sacrifices, as much as anything, that put the Chicago Bulls in position, night in and night out, to succeed. You cannot construct a more complementary team player for nearly any roster or play style than Scottie Pippen. Rounding out the big three was the most enigmatic man in the show, Dennis Rodman.
This dude, Dennis Rodman,
When I
bro.
made a video talking about the 1989 Pistons, I mentioned that the Pistons' Dennis Rodman was not the one with the hair or the tattoos or the relationship with actresses like Madonna and Carmen Electra. This version of Dennis Rodman is that guy. As his life and career progressed into the 90s, Rodman's behavior became erratic. His personality, eccentric. Following a less than stellar stint with the Spurs, the 34-year-old Rodman was traded to the Bulls in advance of the 95-96 season. Of note, Rodman was and is the best pound-for-pound rebounder of all time. It's not an argument. He paced the league in boards with 14.9 a game. David Robinson was second with 12.2. Dennis Rodman averaged 22% more rebounds than David Robinson and couldn't have been more than an inch and a half taller than Michael Jordan. If you saw The Last Dance, you might remember a sequence where Dennis rambles about the different ways that the ball will fly off the rim based off of who's shooting, from where, and with what kind of spin. It's edited in a funny way that makes Dennis seem equal parts savant and eccentric. But the thing is, that's the way his brain really works. Even going back to the 90s, there are accounts of Dennis watching replays and explaining that somehow, somewhere in his brain, there is a mechanism that can project, predict, and intuit angles and trajectories based off of the most imperceptible of variables.
Can y'all do that? Because I ain't gonna lie, I can't do that, bro. I can't think, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, if this person is gonna shoot from the right wing, oh yeah, the ball's gonna bounce to the left side. You know what I'm saying? I can't, no, especially with the spin, no. Dennis Rodman got that, bro. He got it. I can't function all that in my brain. Listen, if the shooter misses the ball, bro, wherever the ball going, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not thinking about all that mechanism, all those angles. No, I can't. He got that.
While they shot before practice, so as to commit their variables to memory. And don't forget, Rodman was still a pest of a defender. He was called the Worm for a reason. He could and did effectively guard centers, despite giving up 4 or 5 inches. He could deny entry passes, stand his ground in the post, and outthink or outmuscle even the greats of the era. You might be tempted to call Rodman a one-dimensional player. And while it's true that he was never much of an offensive threat as a scorer or passer, I can't think of a better team to remedy those weaknesses than the one with the greatest scorer of all time on it. Rodman doesn't score? Fine. He doesn't need to. He can commit himself to the things that he loves and that he's good at, which is being an all-league defender and a game-changing, series-altering, morale-crushing rebounder. What's it matter if a pitcher can only throw one pitch? It's a 120-mile-an-hour fastball. And the rest of the Bulls were as decorated and as talented as you will find on an NBA roster. Tony Kukoc came off the bench as an overqualified reserve, winning the 6th Man of the Year award and finishing the regular season as the team's 3rd leading scorer. He was a great shooter, terrific passer, and as a long, versatile 6'11" small forward, presented matchup problems at both ends. Ron Harper, the team's point guard, embraced the role of defensive specialist, offering no sanctuary for players deemed unworthy to be guarded by Jordan or Pippen. Steve Kerr came off the bench as a backup guard and helped space the floor and provide sparks of offense in his limited minutes, thanks to the fact that he is still the most accurate three-point shooter in basketball history. And yeah, okay, Bill Wennington and Luke Longley weren't stars at center, but they didn't really need to be. Rodman more than picked up their slack. These teams from the past that sacrifice center production in favor of more versatile perimeter players tend to project well into the modern game. At the same time, though, this lack of talented size does leave them ripe for critics who suggest that they couldn't stand a chance against a dominant center. Which line of thinking is correct? I don't know. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the team that went 72-10 in a league with Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, and Shaquille O'Neal. I don't know. Call it a hunch. I also want to take a minute and talk about the mindset of this Bulls team. To do that, we have to talk about the Zen Master. There's some debate as to how important head coaches are to the success of NBA teams, but Phil Jackson is one of the ones who mattered. His unconventional approach to coaching centered on presence of mind and borrowed philosophies and techniques from everywhere, from the Sioux tribes to Zen Buddhism. As much as he preached the tenets of the triangle offense, emphasizing spacing, taking what the defense gave you, playing with intent, he imbued the Bulls with a sense of the moment. Today only happens once. You only get to play the game for so long, and teams like this don't come around often. With the oldest roster in the league, the Bulls took these lessons to heart, ran his system beautifully, and never found a moment that was bigger than they were. This team had the eye of the tiger. That's thanks to Phil Jackson, and thanks to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the top of the food chain. He was an apex predator. He had no rivals, never found an equal. He competed and wanted to win to a fault. Nobody trained harder than he did. The legend of Michael Jordan is one of a man who never, not one time, got outworked. And that work ethic was applied unilaterally to his teammates. They were berated and held to the highest standard of performance in professional sports by a pathologically competitive maniac. As a result, every member of the '96 Bulls was honed like a blade. You had to be a stone-cold competitor with ice in your veins to run with Jordan. You have to take that into account when talking about the greatest teams of all time. If teams take on the identity of their best player, then this team is unlike any other. You can talk about matchups and schemes and systems all you want. This team goes into every game with a Michael Jordan mindset. They don't just expect to beat you. They don't just expect to win. They want to decimate you. They're the alpha dog, constantly looking for challenges, waiting for somebody to return their gaze. They want the fight. As they entered the playoffs, they put the pressure on themselves. They knew their 72 wins would be discounted if they didn't win the championship. As they proudly proclaimed, it don't mean a thing without the ring. But if you want to talk about matchups and schemes, we can do that too. First question, what the hell are you going to do with Jordan? Once he'd reached this height of his powers, he was virtually unstoppable. Gary Payton had his moment against Jordan in the finals, and the insinuation that he could have changed the series had he guarded him sooner generated one of the defining memes of The Last Dance. And okay, let's say you do somehow slow down the best scorer to ever play basketball. Scottie Pippen was practically designed to pick up the slack and adjust on the fly. You cannot stop both, and Scottie is going to make you pay not just by himself, but by involving the rest of the team and acting as the new distribution hub of the offense. Nobody ran the triangle better than the Bulls, which meant that every player had to stay ready for their moment. The ball moved around, everybody got a chance, shooters consistently got clean looks, and it would only make it easier for everyone else if the opponent focuses too much on Michael. Kukoc was a killer. Steve Kerr didn't miss. And even Mike himself was shooting over 40% from three this year. The role players fit perfectly alongside the stars, and the result is an offense that was built to counter opposing strategies. And the defense? There are 5 players on the NBA's all-defensive first team, essentially representing the best 5 defenders in the league at their position. the Bulls had 3 of those 5 players. Plus, with Kukoc able to play in big lineups and Ron Harper standing 6'6", the Bulls can switch practically everything and offer an endless amount of versatility. And despite their lack of premium centers, the Bulls were a top 4 team in rebounding thanks to, the best rebounder in the league. A precision offense with the sharpest of spearheads, a defensive squad that rivals any lineup in history, and the versatility and switchability that modern teams would drool over. How can the Bulls be any more impressive? I'll tell you how. At the end of the 1993 NBA Finals, Michael Jordan had led the Bulls to their 3rd straight championship, a feat not accomplished since the 1960s. He had achieved worldwide fame and was being hailed as the greatest basketball player ever. And then, suddenly, he walked away. He plugged away in minor league baseball to varying degrees of success. And the Bulls tried to make sense of life after Jordan to varying degrees of success. After nearly 2 full years away from the game, Jordan returned for his 2nd act, signaled with 2 simple words. He played the final 17 games of the 95 regular season, complete with a 55-point explosion in MSG and a game winner against the Atlanta Hawks. He looked good, but he didn't quite look like the Michael Jordan of old. His body wasn't in the same kind of shape. His shot didn't go down the way it used to, and he made mistakes that made him look human, a heretical label for his airness. In the 2nd round of the playoffs, for the first time in over half a decade, Michael Jordan lost, defeated at the hands of Shaquille O'Neal's Orlando Magic in 6 games. The questions began almost instantly. The Bulls traded for Dennis Rodman. That guy's a head case, right? Are they desperate? Pippen had accrued extra miles while Jordan was gone. How could his body hold up? And most importantly, was it possible that Michael Jordan could still be Michael Jordan?
Listen, when you got a bunch of killers on your team, all that talk from the media, all that extra criticism, you know what I'm saying? All that doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? Like in the camp, not in the camp, but in the locker room, you know what I'm saying? When you know and your teammates know that, you know what I'm saying, you got killers, bro, then all that doesn't matter, bro. You just go out there and just dominate, bro. Really, man. It don't matter.
The bar had never been higher for an athlete. Michael Jordan was the standard. He was basketball. How could he walk away and come back nearly 2 years later, step into an almost completely
You got that killer mentality.
Be expected not just to compete, not just to win, but to dominate in a way that was specific to him and his teams. In the face of these questions, Michael Jordan and the 1996 Chicago Bulls responded with the most successful season in professional basketball history. 72 regular season wins and the championship. What is the greatest team of all time? What's it look like? Who's on it? And how would you know that they're the greatest of all time? They'd probably have the best sidekick ever. Someone who can do anything on a basketball court, including completely neutralizing the opposing team's best player. They'd like to have the best rebounder since color television, another player who isn't afraid of anything and who can stop giants in their tracks. They would love it if their coach just so happens to be the most decorated man to hold a clipboard. And they'd be lucky to have, the most accurate three-point shooter in history, the best 6th man in the league, a bulldog of a point guard, a roster full of toughened, capable, willing players who have all been forged in the fire of their leader, the greatest player who has ever competed in the sport of basketball. And you'd know that they were the greatest by their play. They'd elevate their games from competitions to performances. Spectators would leave awestruck, forever grateful to say that they saw this team. They were there. They witnessed history. This greatest of teams would look a whole lot like the 1996 Chicago Bulls. Because that's exactly what they are. The greatest basketball team of all time.
All right, that's a great video by Clayton, man. Shout out to Creighton Crowley for this video. You know what I'm saying? If y'all wanna go follow his channel, I'm gonna try to link it down below as well. If y'all wanna go check it out for yourselves, man. Cause that he got some good content, man. So you know what I'm saying? Y'all go show him some love, some support. But yeah, man, what y'all think about the Bulls being one of the greatest teams of all time? How do you feel about it? You know what I'm saying? Comment all that in the comment section down below. How I feel about it is a good case. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's other teams out there that needs to be heard. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? There's other teams that are also how do I say? There's also teams from back then also that has also good case of being the greatest team of all time. So we're gonna listen to all of them. But yeah, like I said, the Bulls, man, great team. That was a great team. Even I wasn't alive at that time. You know, seeing the Last Dance highlights, all that. Yo, this Bulls team was crazy, bro. But like I said, leave all your opinions in the comment section down below. If there's any other reactions you want me to react to, just in my comment section down below as well. So that's gonna do it for me, and I'm gonna see you next time, and I'm out.